Hello dear friends, glad to be back. Today is 6th of December, now it's 10:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late on my Patreon page, and also I will definitely try to make additional updates on main channels, short videos. As you know, since yesterday I introduced new segment to our project, which is short video, and I will definitely try to make short videos on daily basis. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels, and Russian Defense Ministry, there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. Operational pause is mainly holding all along the line of contact, although of course there is fierce local scale skirmishes between the sides, reckoning force operations, local scale offensives and artillery duels between the sides, in which Russian forces do have an upper hand, and of course artillery duels also. But anyway, let's go sector by sector. When it comes to Kherson region, seems like Ukrainian forces finally did realize that the left bank is a trap for them, and they are significantly decreasing their activity, and the less Ukrainian units are willing to risk and cross the Dnieper river. Simultaneously, Russian side significantly intensify bombing campaign on both banks of the Dnieper river in Kherson region. I did share on my Telegram channel videos of that bombing campaign that Russian Air Force is conducting. And well, I have also news that unfortunately Russian Su-24 most likely being shut down by Ukrainian forces while Russian bomber was conducting operation in direction of Odessa region. This information have not been confirmed by Russian Defense Ministry, but many Russian channels did report about it, and I did share information on my Telegram. Also, overall situation in Kherson region is under full Russian control, and nothing is happening there that can influence this sector in immediate future. Dear friends, I have to deal with high blood pressure, so sorry if I'm not that sharp as I like to be while recording this update. Now let's go to other sectors of the front line, Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors. Well, in Zaporozhye sector, main hotspot is of course Orekhov bridgehead, in which Ukrainian forces basically are trapped also. And according to latest reports that I see, Russian forces are conducting local scale offensive operations in direction of Rabotina and also from Verbova area. So slowly, step by step, but Russian forces are beginning to push Ukrainian forces out of this bridgehead. Many of the experts were expecting that Russian forces will try to encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead, and it may happen, but also a possibility that Russian forces will just force Ukrainian units out of this area without encircling them. But overall situation is most calm in comparison to every other sector of the front line. In Zaporozhye sector, it's mainly artillery duels and this local scale Russian offensive operations. South Donetsk sector is quite active. According to report from Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian side has had more than 200 military personnel casualties in this direction during the previous 24 hours, and this report from Defense Ministry was made yesterday afternoon. I did upload a separate video yesterday about report of Russian Defense Ministry, and I guess today situation will stay similar because Russian forces are quite active, not just in Vremyovsky salient, or Uglidar direction, but also, of course, Marinka area and surrounding territories. But when it comes to Donetsk, direction, we have two main hotspots here. One is Avdiivka, of course, where Russian forces are constantly improving their positions. Although I did not expect that Russian side will conduct final push on Avdiivka, and I do not expect that it will happen anytime soon. Maybe in 2-3 weeks time, but not now. So these local scale offensive operations are just to improve current positions and increase pressure on Ukrainian forces. The situation is under full Russian control in this area, and despite attempts of Ukrainian units to somehow improve their positions, regain initiative, they are unable to do so. And even videos are circulating now in internet when Ukrainian units are fleeing Avdiivka whenever they can, some of them possibly even without order. And the next hotspot in Donetsk sector is, of course, Bakhmut and surrounding areas, where Russian forces also are conducting local scale offensive operations. Yesterday, Russian military channels did report that Russian forces did manage to establish control over their territories from Khramove to northern part of Bogdanovka settlement, this area here, by the way. And also according to reports on Russian channels, Russian forces began operations, local scale offensive operations westward from Khramove, closing into Chisovyar. Step by step, of course. We are not talking about breakthroughs at this point, but we definitely can see preparations of the ground by Russian side to conduct large-scale offensive operation in direction of Chisovyar and Konstantinovka sometime in the future. And also according to reports from Russian military channels, Russian side began increasing its pressure on Ukrainian forces in Seversk direction, not just in Belogorovka settlement here, but also around Seversk itself, which may be taken as also indicator that Russian side is finalizing its preparations for a large-scale winter offensive. Anyway, that's how I see this situation. And when it comes to northern sectors in general, initiative is in Russian hands. Main hotspot, let's say, in Kupiansk area is still Sinkovka settlement, which is, I will say, disputed between the sides, but yet again, nothing is happening right now that can be called breakthrough or can influence overall situation in immediate future. So that's why I'm saying it's operational pause, which is holding for quite a while now, and I guess it will stay this way until large-scale Russian offensive operations begins in the winter. Late January, first half of February, somewhere in that area, in my understanding, although of course Russian general staff do not share information about its plans with me, so it's just a guess on my part. That's been said, this is it for a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Dear friends, yesterday I did, as I mentioned, uploaded separate video, short video about report of Russian Defense Ministry about previous 24 hours. And if you did not yet see that video, I do recommend, if you are interested, you can see it on my main pages on Rumble and YouTube. Well, and before I continue, dear friends, let me thank all of you for your attention, for your time and support. Of course, special thank to members of our community who supports my work with donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without you, your support and attention, this project would not exist. So thank you very much. That's been said, let's talk about some other news, and I want to share with you this information about yesterday's attempt of Kyiv regime to conduct quite a large-scale drone strikes in the direction of Crimea. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, overall 35 Ukrainian drones were neutralized by Russian air defense systems. 22 drones were destroyed, and 13 drones were suppressed by Russian electronic warfare systems. And I did check during the day yesterday many Russian media outlets, but I did not see any reports about casualties on the ground as a result of this failed Ukrainian attempt to conduct large-scale drone strike on Crimea. And I don't see information about any more or less significant damage on Crimean Peninsula also. Let's continue now, and next information is also interesting. RIA Novosti did reported that platoon of Ukrainian armed forces, 25 military personnel to be more precise, did contacted Russian forces and were planning to surrender. Russian side did coordinate this unit in which area they should move to surrender safely without any accidents, unnecessary, let's say, accidents. And unfortunately, Ukrainian units, I guess, did listen these negotiations through radio between Ukrainian unit and Russian forces, and they opened fire towards this Ukrainian platoon and destroy all of them. All 25 Ukrainian military personnel was killed as a result of artillery strikes from Ukrainian forces. So once again, you can clearly see that even to surrender, it's not easy on the front line, because Kyiv regime has these detachment units that are opening fire, not just towards units that are planning to surrender, but also towards units that are retreating from their positions. This is, I guess, one of the reasons why Ukrainian side has such high losses on the front line, because military personnel is just afraid to surrender or to lay down arms and disobey criminal orders from Zelensky and his associates or the Western masters. RIA Novosti is also reporting that yet another Ukrainian group probably did not know what they were doing on the front line and went to their own minefield, Ukrainian minefield, and entirely was destroyed. This information once again highlights level of organization on the Ukrainian side and level of deterioration in command and control, because seems like Ukrainian units are not aware of even their own minefields. And this was reported by Marochko, by the way. This was reported by Andrei Marochko, military expert from LPR. Let's continue. And well, RT reports that Zelensky bails on a briefing with the US Senate. Basically, Ukrainian President Zelensky abruptly canceled the briefing with the US senators and the White House officials on Tuesday due to a last-minute snag, according to high-ranking Democrat. The sit-down then became heated among US senators as lawmakers shifted their focus to debate over US border policy and continued aid to Kyiv. Well, at this point, I don't know what happened to Zelensky. Maybe he has some overdose with some white substance. Anything is possible. Maybe he didn't like that he is treated like a dog by US senators, because that's how they see him, as a puppet. Well, I don't think Zelensky is supposed to be surprised by this attitude towards him by his Western masters. But anyway, there was a report that Zelensky will give a speech to US senators and high-ranking officials to somehow influence on decision-making process when it comes to this Biden's 106 billion aid package, in which 61 billion supposed to be allocated for Kyiv regime, but in final moment Zelensky refused to speak. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that U.S. House Speaker issues Ukraine ultimatum to Biden. Well, as I said, dear friends, I have high blood pressure and I'm a little bit struggling now to record this video, but I have to do it. This is my job. So sorry if, yet again, sorry if I'm not as sharp as I would like to be. But anyway, let's continue. Getting the Republican majority House of Representatives to approve additional funding for Ukraine would require first securing the U.S. border with Mexico. Speaker Mike Johnson told the White House on Tuesday. The Louisiana Republican was responding to Monday's public letter from Office of Management of Budget Director Shalanda Young, who warned that the U.S. was out of money and nearly out of time in terms of aid to Ukraine and Israel. Young argued that cutting off U.S. aid would damage Ukraine on the battlefield and increase the likelihood of Russian military victories. Johnson first addressed Israel, noting that the House had approved the Israeli Security Supplemental Appropriation Act on November 2nd, but the Democrats, who control the Senate, voted to block consideration of the bill. As for Ukraine, Johnson wrote that the Republican position has remained unchanged since his meeting with the Young and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on October 26, when he laid out two essential prerequisites: security at borders between US and Mexico, and critical answers regarding the funds requested. So quite a basic demands from Republicans. Let's be clear here. They want border security, which is quite understandable, and they want some answers from White House about funds that are allocated for Ukraine. Some accountability, which is, I mean, quite simple stuff, really. But for whatever reason, the Democrats are refusing to listen to these demands and act accordingly. But eventually, you know my take, dear friends, on this topic. I'm quite sure Biden's aid bill or aid package, one way or another, will be approved. These negotiations between Democrats and Republicans may continue for a while, but eventually, because of the immense influence of the U.S. military-industrial complex on political process in U.S. and political system itself, I'm quite sure some funds, as I said many times before, some funds for sure will be allocated for Kyiv regime. Maybe not 61 billion as Biden's administration demanded, but some funds will definitely be allocated. 30-40 billion, who knows how much, but at least few dozen of billions for sure, because this is, after all, last big paycheck for U.S. military-industrial complex and corrupt U.S. officials that are brought by U.S. military-industrial complex. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Biden did comment on developments in U.S. Congress and Senate, and he said that it's a madness. What is happening, and the madness that U.S. is not providing additional funds for Kyiv regime. Well, maybe that's how Biden did see this situation, that it's a madness that instead of supporting U.S. citizens with tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. This idiot is demanding this money to be allocated to Kiev regime, most corrupt regime in the world. That's definitely madness. So in this regard, I mean, if we take Biden's word in this regard, then yes, I mean, what is going on in US is madness. But if he thinks that it's the right stuff to send so much money of taxpayers, US taxpayers, to most corrupt regime in the world, then he is a madman. Then he is a madman, and all the entire his government, really. And enemies of the US, I will say this way. They are enemies of the US. They are destroying US from within. And I don't know, man, maybe we have in our community, and probably we have in our community, supporters, friends from US that are supporting Democrats. And please, dear friends, I mean, share your opinion. Is it normal what Biden's administration is doing? They are enemies of the US. They are destroying country from within. And who should know better than citizens of US that are experiencing all this craziness that's going on in the US in real time, in the real life. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Pistorius, defense minister of Germany, Pistorius, refused to state that Germany is a ally of Ukraine. According to him, Germany is not Ukraine's ally, which is quite interesting statement, really. So Boris Pistorius, during the interview with ZDF TV channel, did said that Germany is the second country after US with the amount of money and military equipment and munition when it comes to supplies of Kiev regime, but still Germany is no way obligated. It's not obligated to fight for Ukraine. Because Germany is not ally of Ukraine. Let me translate this entire sentence, dear friends, here. This high pressure is something, man. It's the first time in my life that I'm experiencing for more than a week now this high pressure. And I don't really know what to do. I don't want to go to doctor and do some checkups and stuff. I just don't have time for that, and I hope this stuff will go away on its own. But for more than a week now, you know. Anyway, let's continue. So Germany is not an ally of Ukraine, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said in an interview with the ZDF TV station. First of all, we are not an ally of Ukraine. This means that we are not in the situation obliging us to intervene within the framework of the alliance, he said. This is how Pistorius answered the question whether the insufficient amount of military assistance to Kiev means that the United West is not able to fight back. So these idiot so-called journalists, these uneducated, totally stupid so-called journalists in the Western media outlets, basically openly calling for World War III, isn't it? And Pistorius, it's strange to say, but Pistorius looks like a adult in a room in comparison to those so-called journalists. Crazy, man, crazy times, man. But I don't know what is wrong with the ZDF media outlet or the TV station. if it was up to me, I will definitely fire all of them, because it's just total nonsense. It's crazy when journalists basically two questions indirectly demanding from Germany, in this case, German's defense ministry, and from NATO, because Germany is a part of NATO, to basically began or provoke Third World War. I don't know, man. I don't know how you gonna comment this. Crazy idiots, man. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to media, some members of EU yet again stated that they are against that profits from frozen Russian assets should be sent to Kiev regime. In this information, we don't have names of those states who are against, but I guess Hungary is definitely one of them, Slovakia possibly also, and maybe even Netherlands. Although some other countries, at least on the level of central banks, probably also have adequate people that will be against stealing of Russian assets, because reputation of EU is already in ruins. Reputation of EU member states, majority of EU member states already are in the ruins, and they are experiencing outflow of money that was invested in these countries by businesses worldwide. And if they now began stealing Russian assets, of course, this outflow of money or resources from EU member states will just intensify. And same time, of course, we can see that political part or bureaucrats in Brussels, they are very keen to steal frozen Russian assets and all the profits that Russia had through those investments. They are very keen to steal this money, and they are talking about it almost on daily basis, man. Cheap thieves, that's what they are, man. These Western bureaucrats and Brussels non-elected animals that are ruining entire economical zone of the EU. Unelected animals, man. This Borrell, this dirty creature, Ursula, yeah, and Michel, and just you name it, man. Disgusting animals, that's what they are, really. And it's good that at least some people in EU member states do understand how damaging all this anti-Russian hysteria has been, and how damaging will be if they will now, in addition, begin to stealing Russian funds also. But anyway, let's continue, man. Dear friends from Europe, how you can... I don't know, man. You have good nerves, man. If I was a EU citizen, I would probably organize some group, man. Definitely. I would not take this nonsense from those animals, man. Those non-elected animals. Who are they? Really? Who the hell is Borrell, man? This stupid bitch. Who is he? Unbelievable. Sorry for my French, but you know, I would like to see those criminals in EU bureaucracy to be brought to justice, and they have to be in jail for life. Those mass murderers, man, because they are directly involved in all that bloodshed that we are seeing in Ukraine. They have to pay heavy price for that. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Polish truckers give ultimatum to Polish government and Brussels also, and if their demand would not be heard, then they are just demanding these agreements with Ukraine to be analyzed once again, and some changes to be made so that Polish truckers and farmers simultaneously will not lose competition with a country that not even in the EU. Quite understandable demands from Polish truckers and farmers. Same we can say about truckers and farmers in Slovakia and Hungary also. And well, if demands of Protestants in Ukrainian-Polish border would not be heard, then they are saying that they will further intensify blockade of the roads. And simultaneously ambassadors of Baltic states did protest against Poland. Did protest against Poland for a blockade of Ukraine, and basically demanded Polish government to use force against its own citizens in interests of Ukraine. So just imagine how emboldened or stupid this Baltic leadership of Baltic state is, that they are demanding from Poland or from Warsaw force to be used against its own citizens for interests of Ukraine. If it was up to me, and I will definitely cut diplomatic ties with the Baltic states for such action, because who the hell is Baltic states, man? Even Poland, even in comparison to Poland, these Baltic states are zero. Zero. They mean nothing to nobody. Even for its own citizens, these states mean nothing. For majority, because majority of those states are in Europe. They are not even in these Baltic states, man. And this is true. Youngsters, young generation, are almost totally out of these states, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. And for a good reason, because these Russophobes, neo-Nazis and fascists in leadership of these states destroy economies and social fabric in the states. That's it. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that well, this is quite interesting also. German MP, by the way, German MP did come up with the idea to send Ukrainian men refugees back to Ukraine, because from them dozens of new brigades can be created. Well, theoretically speaking, it's true. According to some reports that I see, about 600 military-age men are refugees in Europe legally, and about 100,000, if not more, military-age Ukrainian men are in Europe illegally, that have not even a status of refugee or any paperwork whatsoever. And from this number of people, of course, can be created few dozens of brigades. But well, I don't think sending back to Ukraine to die Ukrainian refugees is a lawful action, and I don't think what this German MP is thinking of. But anyway, let me read several sentences here. So, forcing hundreds of thousands of able-bodied Ukrainian men who fled to the EU to return and join the country's army would greatly aid Kiev cause. German MP Roderick Kieswetter, or somehow like that, Kieswetter, told Die Welt daily on Monday. The CDU party lawmaker added that the large number of Ukrainians avoiding military service is one of the key problems the government of President Zelensky faces. And well, I did not see any statements from high-ranking officials of Germany or any other state that they are willing to forcefully send back Ukrainian military-age men back to Ukraine, but Ukrainian refugees in Europe should think twice how safe they really are there. They should definitely think twice, because it will not take long. Once decision will be made in Brussels and in capitals of few member states, then it will take just very short time, and tens of thousands of Ukrainians will be grabbed on the streets, like it happens in Ukraine, and sent to the front line directly to die there for Zelensky, his criminal associates, and the geopolitical interests of the Western ruling class. And if Ukrainian refugees in Europe are paying attention to current developments, they will make right decisions and flee Europe as soon as possible, before it's not too late for them. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Finland to produce artillery shells for Ukraine. That was stated by Defense Minister of Finland. Yet again, Helsinki on regular basis conducts these anti-Russian, Russophobic steps and does everything to please their masters in the Washington and London, I guess. Okay, this is a choice of Finnish people. They won't be enemies of Russia, and if that's their choice, okay, let's be enemies. I mean, I don't want to be. I don't want to see as an enemy anybody, but Finnish society, time after time, did vote for these Russophobes, isn't it? So I guess majority of Finnish society wants to be enemy of Russia, and okay, if it's your choice, then be our enemy. One more, one less, who cares, man? Anyway, let's continue. I don't think Finland will gain anything from this escalation with Russia, honestly, and it's sad, really. It's sad, really, because Finland as a state exists just because of Russia. Just because of Russia. Otherwise, Finnish people will probably be completely assimilated by this time by Sweden, and Finnish territory will be part of Sweden, as it was before Russia take those territories from Sweden. But anyway, let's continue, man. Yet again, I mean, here in Russia we don't want to be enemies with anybody, but if other countries want to be our enemies, then bring it on, bring it on. No problem. Let's continue. RT is reporting that joint Algerian-Russian exercises to be held in the Mediterranean, which is quite interesting. The Black Sea Fleet frigate Admiral Grigorevich has arrived in Algiers and will stay there for 8 days. The Telegram channel Military Informant reported on Monday. Dear friends, I did share a photo of Russian ship in Algeria on my Telegram yesterday. So Algeria and Russia are to hold joint naval exercises in Mediterranean on December 8, with the aim of strengthening military cooperation between the countries, according to statement from the Algerian Ministry of National Defense. Well, great news, really great news. Russia is improving its relationships with the Central African republics, Northern African republics, with Southern African republics. Russia and South Africa are strategic partners, basically, and members of BRICS. It's a great. Russia are welcomed in Africa in many ways because of history, of support from Moscow, of movement of independence in African nations, and I believe Russian relationship between Russian and African nations has a bright future. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, well, effectiveness of Russian Panar S1 missile systems, short-range anti-air defense systems, let's say, will be modernized, will be improved, and Panzer air defense systems will be able to increase the range of their operations. Well, great news also for Russian side and for potential buyers of Panzer S1 systems, because when it comes to short range, at this point, Panzer is probably one of the best, if not the best, system in the world. And if capabilities of this system will be further improved, then of course that's great news for Russian armed forces and also potential buyers of these systems. And now another big topic, which is escalation in the Middle East. And according to TASS news agency, Israeli army stated, Israel's IDF, Israel's defense force, stated that during the previous 24 hours they did conducted 250 airstrikes on positions of Hamas in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip. So escalation is huge in the region. Yesterday, dear friends, Tzahal or IDF did come up with statements that they are now ready to begin third stage of their ground operation in the Gaza Strip. So no signs of slowdown, no signs that Netanyahu's government is rethinking its position and are willing to compromise or willing to begin peace talks. We don't see none of it at this point. In contrary, Netanyahu's government is quite emboldened by this impunity that his and his criminal associates are acting by killing Palestinians in mass, which is genocide, by the way. At this point, there can be no other understanding of the situation in the Palestine other than ethnic cleansing and attempted genocide. That's it. TASS news agency is reporting that IDF also did share with public information about their own casualties, and they said that since the beginning of ground operations, Israeli army lost 80 military personnel. But overall, since the escalation from 7th of October, IDF lost 406 military personnel. And also, you may find interesting this news that I did share a video on or photo material on my Telegram page also. Israeli side began flooding tunnels, underground tunnels that are used by Hamas with seawater. And on one of the Telegram channels there was even video how Hamas fighter is drowning in the water. If that was not fake video, it's hard to tell, isn't it? But one of the channels did share that kind of video that Hamas fighter is drowning in the water. I did not share on my Telegram that video because who knows, maybe video is fake, I don't know. But information that tunnels have been flooded was reported by many channels, so I guess it's true. RT is reporting that investors may have had prior knowledge of Hamas attack on Israel, according to some research. So some traders may have been informed about the Hamas plan to attack Israel on October 7 and used that knowledge to make millions of dollars by short selling Israeli securities. A study by US researchers published on Monday. Quite possible that some traders close to Hamas on one side and Israeli intelligence on other side, and Netanyahu and his government, or Netanyahu and his inner circle, who he can trust. Maybe they did trade. Maybe they did sell many assets of Israeli companies, for example, before 7th of October, because they knew shares of these assets will, price on these shares will drop significantly. And some may, after that, even buy back those assets. And because eventually, of course, prices will stabilize, will increase and stabilize, and they could make tens of millions of dollars, or maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a possibility, for sure. And I'm not randomly saying that these people may have some connections with Hamas and Israeli secret services and Netanyahu and his inner circle, because I'm 100% sure, dear friends, that Netanyahu and Israeli secret services knew about this operation of Hamas. They allowed this operation to happen because they needed justification for their actions against Palestinians, for genocide of Palestinians and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, to force them from Gaza Strip out into Egypt and basically reclaim all that territory, integrate all that territory into Israel. That's a game plan, let's say, of Netanyahu and his government. And no matter who will say otherwise, I just don't care. There is no way in this world that Israeli secret services did not know about operation that Hamas was planning against Israel. It's just not possible. That's it. Not possible. I do see some experts, by the way, that are trying to somewhat find out some justification of inaction of Israeli side, and they are saying that, you know, they were overconfident and they just did not knew, and there were some these mistakes, that mistakes, but none of them are saying that it's just not possible for Israeli secret services not to know about this attack of Hamas. They knew it perfectly well. 100%, dear friends. They knew it. They knew it. They have probably dozens and dozens of agents in Hamas, man. And including leadership of Hamas. Of course they knew. But they allowed this attack to happen and then use this attack to justify all that they are doing now. That's it. It's not, you don't have to be like genius or I don't know, nuclear physicist to understand this quite simple stuff. Let's continue now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Maduro, president of Venezuela, did call to create 24th state in the Venezuela on a territory, disputed territory with Guinea. And he even presented map, by the way. He even presented map in which this disputed territories of Guyana is in Venezuela already. And let me show you on the map, by the way, what am I talking about here. Did I delete it? Come on, man. I specially copied the map, but Anyway, it's in southern side of coastline from Venezuela, and Caracas is basically pretending for more than half of territory of Guyana. This dispute between the sides are taking place for, I don't know, 100 years now, and lately because Western energy companies began investing in energo fields, oil fields of Guyana, exactly in this disputed territory. Caracas, I guess, made decision to act, possibly with the support of China, maybe even Moscow, who knows. But this kind of moves from Caracas probably was consulted with some major capitals that can support Caracas if things go bad for Maduro's government, especially because Brazil is also very worried about the situation, and Brazil is not happy to see what is going on, and Brazil is of course part of BRICS, so very difficult situation there, very difficult situation, and I would not be surprised if Parliament of Venezuela votes to create this 24th region on this territory, Guyana Essequibo, that's the name of that disputed region. And maybe Venezuela will even send its military personnel into this area, which may create quite a huge regional disturbance, let's say this way. Let's hope there will be no regional military conflict, but anything is possible. Anything is possible. Let's continue now. RIA Novosti is reporting that delegation from Armenia will not participate in a parliamentary assembly of ODKB or ISCE organization, which is a defense alliance of former Soviet republics, in which Armenia is also part of. And well, okay, this conference will take place on 19th of December in Moscow without Armenian delegations, which is not surprising, really. It's only a matter of time when Armenia, in my understanding, when Armenia will leave OSCE, or maybe this organization itself will, if they have a legal base for it, will remove Armenia from this organization. Because under Pashinyan, Armenia is definitely not ally of Russia, definitely not ally of any of the countries in this organization. And I guess it's only a matter of time when Yerevan will begin demanding Russian military base to be withdrawn from Armenia. And it will be withdrawn. And eventually Russian side probably will be forced to denunciate act of mutual protection with mutual support and protection with Armenia. If it was up to me, I will already make such a decision. I will remove Russian base from Armenia, and I will denunciate this agreement with Yerevan about mutual protection, because it will inevitably happen anyway. And why play this game? Just do it. I mean, it will happen anyway, so just do it now and just deal with it, and forget about it. That's it. TASS news agency is reporting, well, if Armenia will not denunciate that agreement with Russia, well, then Moscow will be forced to do so. Because definitely, I mean, you tell me if you see Armenia as an ally of Russia, in any sense, under Pashinyan's government. No. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that today, President of Russia will visit United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia with a working visit. This is not a state visit, this is working visit, so it will last only a day, only about a day. and well, he will have a discussion. He will have a discussion with the leadership of UAE and Saudi Arabia, not just about Palestine, of course, issue that will be discussed 100% between the leaders, but also, of course, they will discuss future of the BRICS. As we know, both states, both kingdoms, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, will join BRICS from 1st of January. So BRICS definitely will be one of the topics of discussion, I guess. And also, of course, OPEC Plus, oil market, energy market, and how will sides will cooperate to make sure that prices are acceptable for all of them, for all the major energy exporter countries. And they may, of course, discuss some other topics also, including cooperation in economical and military spheres. That's a possibility also, because Middle Eastern states do understood at this point quite well that their security, best chances for them for security is in cooperation with China and Russia, and in good relationships with Iran, which is a partner of China and Russia. And well, if everyone understood situation, then I guess we will have a good enough ground for a long-term peace in the Middle East. It's hard to talk about peace in the Middle East right now, as we see this escalation between Israel and Palestine, but hopefully no third party will get involved in this confrontation, and the world community will be able to force Israel, force Netanyahu's government to cease its hostilities. Let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that, well, according to Bloomberg, Western media, Western so-called elites, of course, are not happy that Putin will, visit UAE and Saudi Arabia, and they are basically not happy whenever any good news comes from Russia. They are Russophobes, man. They are sick with Russophobia, and they cannot withstand it. And Bloomberg's article is a prime example. Prime example of it, and they did write that upcoming visit of Putin in this major Middle Eastern kingdoms is definite failure of the USA. Okay, USA did fail not just in the Middle East, but USA first of all failed its own citizens. Let's be clear, man. Modern USA, it's a disappointment first of all for its own citizens. So how anybody gonna be surprised that countries worldwide no longer see US as a respectful, let's say, member of world community, and country on whom you can rely. It's not a reliable partner, USA, to nobody. Look what the US does to Europe, dear friends. Look what US ruling class did to Europe, to Germany, for example. And there will be no questions no more. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Biden expressed doubt about a re-election bid. He said basically that if Trump was not running for president, he would not run also. Maybe, but when I was reading this news, I remember information about Wall Street's take on these candidates, Trump and Biden, and Wall Street is not happy with any of them, and they want to see some other candidates to be in a major positions, and they are willing to support Wall Street CEOs, those other candidates. And if that's the case, because US presidential elections are very costly endeavor, it costs more than $1 billion for each party, for Democrats and for Republicans. Because that's the case, then I guess for Democrats, it's not really reasonable to keep Biden as a front runner, exactly because they need some funds. And, if Trump has a huge following and he can accumulate huge sums through small donations from his supporters, Biden don't really have huge following or any following at all. And how Democrats gonna run presidential campaign with this type of front runner? I don't know, man. It don't makes any sense whatsoever. But let them decide with this. But in this particular case, I mean, maybe Biden was honest, really. Sometimes he may do understands like that where he is and who he is and what the hell is going on around, and maybe that was exactly time then he said that, you know what, if not Trump, I would not Trump, because probably he just don't need it, man. He don't need this. He's an old man with difficult medical conditions that barely recognize his own self. So, do he really needs all that scrutiny? And anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Qatar dumping shares in the key UK bank, according to Bloomberg. Qatar Holding owned by the Qatar Investment Authority, QIA, is looking to sell some 510 million pound worth of its shares in Barclays, which is 644 million USD. One of the UK's oldest banks, according to terms of the offering seen by Bloomberg. Yet again, dear friends, yet again, pure example what I just said a few minutes ago, that in past investments in the European economies are moving out now, because with these anti-Russian sanctions, with this craziness, ruling elites of the West basically destroy last remnants of reputation that they may sometime in the past had, and it's a huge outflow of finances now from Europe, including UK, and that's prime example that one of the biggest shareholders, one of the major shareholders in Barclays, which is one of the oldest banks in England and one of the major banks, shareholder is running away and dumping its assets. And I guess Qatar Holding is not the first one and not the last one. Many other will follow suit or have already done this, and not just when it comes to Barclays, but in general. This outflow of resources from Europe, it's unstoppable at this point, just unstoppable. And all of this because of this criminal actions of ruling elites of the West. And I say criminal because with these actions they damaged the interests of the people that they're supposed to serve. So they all are criminals, man. All those so-called elites, because they just don't give a damn about citizens, their fellow citizens. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Brits have become much poorer than French, according to a study. Well, unfortunate news for UK, but also surprising, because I did not expect that ordinary household in UK will be poorer than ordinary household in any of their country in continental Europe, but it is what it is. Stagflation and the weak economic growth have reportedly led to a gap in living standards valued at £8,300 or well over $10,000. More than a decade of economic stagnation has led British households 25% poorer than their peers in such countries as France and Germany, according to the latest research, which was published on Monday. Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? France and Germany are definitely not in the best shape when it comes to economy, and this information indirectly confirms basically that UK's economy in even worse condition. Well, unfortunate news, really sad news, because this first of all affects ordinary people like us, man. So this type of news is never good. It's always sad, but yet again, that's leadership they have, isn't it? That instead of improvements are generating and forward movement are generating difficulties and barriers for their own citizens. In comparison, dear friends, here in Russia, like it or not, but there are constant improvements, constant movement forward. For last, let's say, 2 decades at least, since the 90s, really. There are constant movement forward. And that's why, for example, government in Russia, Putin and his administration do have such a massive support in Russia, in country. Because people do see that life is improving constantly, little by little. Yes, it's not like a huge jump, but in time, difference is becoming very much visible, and the improvement becoming very much visible. For example, if we compare today's Russia to Russia in 90s, it's two different worlds. It's just two different worlds, dear friends. When in the West, it's exactly the opposite is happening, as I understand. 20 years ago, all those economies in the West were in much better place than they are now. It's true, isn't it? Let's continue. And RT is reporting that Russian oil price cap has largely failed, according to Politico. Well, this topic is, always in the Western media, they cannot deal with this stuff, man. They cannot. They are looking for some negative to write about Russia. They are looking for something, but they can't really, because Russian economy, despite expectations of the Western ruling elites, are withstanding pressure, really withstanding pressure, and that's why they are constantly writing about, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working, something else has to be done. And what something else, really? What they gonna sanction next? Air or what? But anyway, this is not the news for members of our community, of course, because I did report it many times before that this oil price cap will never work, and it definitely don't works. So the price limit imposed by G7 and the EU countries on Russian seaborne oil sales has essentially failed, Politico reported on Tuesday, citing new research. The main mechanism was agreed last year and bans Western firms from providing insurance and other services to shipments of Russian crude unless cargo is purchased at or below $60 per barrel price cap. Similar restrictions were introduced in February for export of Russian petroleum products. The measure was intended to substantially reduce Moscow's energy revenues. According to new analysis from the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, SHIM Clean Air shared with the Politico, over the last year the SHIM has cost the Kremlin 34 billion euros or 37 billion dollars in export revenues, the equivalent of around 2 months' earnings this year. However, that amount is far less than those who designed the rules had hoped. The report said, adding that the impact had been felt most intensely in the first half of 2023 before starting to fade. Russian oil now consistently sells for more than $60 a barrel limit, Politico wrote. Well, according to report, the shortfall is partially due to traders simply ignoring the price ceiling, with the Russian oil ceilings for roughly $70. So Russian oil basically selling about $70 for a barrel. And I did reported some time ago that even Japan buys Russian oil for $70, and Japan is a part of G7. So what you expect from other countries that did not even agree on these sanctions? You know, why G7 countries or Western ruling elites, they think that India, China, or any other country worldwide, Brazil, for example, will care that much about this Russophobic hysteria of Western ruling class and their criminal actions basically against Russia? Of course they will ignore it, and they did. Simple. Anyway, let's continue. EU countries buying record volume of Russian LNG, which is also quite interesting. They did not wanted Russian cheap pipeline gas, significantly cheaper than, which is significantly cheaper than LNG. So they cut contracts with Gazprom, and now they are buying Russian LNG, paying twice as much. Such genius people, man, are ruling and ruining Europe, man. Unbelievable. So let's read this news. Russian exports of liquefied natural gas, LNG, to European Union hit an all-time high of 1.75 million tons in November. The Commerçant Business Daily reported on Monday, citing data by Kepler. The previous record was in December 2022, when Russia exported 1.737 million tons of LNG to the region. The largest November volumes were reportedly shipped to France and Belgium. France and Belgium, by the way, are in previous months were biggest buyers of Russian LNG. And of course, Spain is a big also when it comes to Russian LNG, and many other countries also. But that's a reality, dear friends. That's a reality, and eventually, who pays for all this stuff? LNG is significantly expensive than pipeline gas, so French companies that will pay increased amounts of money for this gas will of course increase price for their products or services, and eventually it's all come down to ordinary citizens like me and you. That's who gonna pay for this increase in cost, isn't it? Not those so-called elites that are imposing these crazy policies and introducing these crazy policies that are not just against Russia but also against Europe itself. But it is what it is, man. And dear friends, to continue this topic, let me share with you this information. So, according to RIA Novosti's report, European Union, since the February of 2022, overpaid for Russian gas 185 billion euros. I have to translate this, man. I have to translate this. let me read entire news here. It's really interesting. So, and where was that? I have to translate this also. Just to be more precise, dear friends, because a lot of numbers here, and you know, the European Union has spent 304 billion euros on gas imports since the February of 2022, having overpaid 185 billion euros for this due to anti-Russian sanctions, according to RIA Novosti calculations based on Eurostat data. Since the February of 2022, when Brussels began imposing sanctions against Russia, the EU's average monthly gas import values has risen to 15.2 billion euro. Of these 7.7 billion, and this is monthly, by the way. So of these 7.7 billion came from liquefied natural gas, the remaining 7.5 billion from pipeline gas. Moreover, during the year before the introduction of sanctions, the European countries paid an average of 5.9 billion euros for gas and 3.6 billion from this 5.9 was for pipeline gas and 2.3 billion for liquefied natural gas. So if we calculate all these numbers, over 20 months, over the 20 months, overpayment for gas amounted to 185 billion euros, and in total, EU members spent 304 billion euros on this purpose. The EU previously spent such amount over several years. So previously, this amount was spent for several years, but now they are spending on let's say almost on year basis. So 185 billion have been overpaid for 20 months. Quite a number, isn't it? And why? If they could receive Russian gas from pipes, which is cheaper, but they said no, we don't want to pay less, let us pay more, and they did. Idiots, man, idiots. I don't know when people in Europe gonna wake up, man, and realize that their countries and entire this EU scheme or scam was run by criminals. By criminals, man. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian Central Bank made decision to ban their employees to use iPhones and iPads for working purposes. Well, quite late decision, really, but a good decision. I don't think iPhone gonna worry about this very much, but I think that has to be practiced in all the Russian institutions, just everywhere. Stop using Western cell phones. Stop using Western cell phones that are using Western OSCE, operational systems. Because they can be used to track, they can be used to collect information, they can be used for many different purposes by secret services of the West that are controlling these operational systems. And well, it's good that at least now this decision was made by Central Bank, although it's kind of quite late. And hopefully all the other institutions in Russia will follow suit. And if they already did not ban use of Western, why only iPhone? Why not Samsung also, or any other Western phone with Western operational system? Employees of state institutions should use only equipment with Russian operational system. It's so simple. It's a matter of state security, isn't it? And why these decisions, necessary decisions, have not been made until now, I don't know. Is that difficult to create a workable operational system for Russia, which has a top programmers in the world? I don't think so. It just needs to be organized properly, and it's a matter of, I don't know, 1 or 2 years, and there will be Russian operational system better than or no less than Android and whatever iPhone is using. Yes, there are some Russian operational systems, I know about it, but maybe they are not as developed yet, I don't know. But they should be. They should be. It just needs proper investment and proper organization. That's it. And anyway, this is it for now. I'm happy that I did manage to go through this update, dear friends. I barely see from, you know, and then this light is here, this and right in the face, which does not make things easier. That's a pressure, though. That's blood pressure, man. But anyway, I hope, dear friends, you will find this update interesting. It's quite long update, 1 hour and 22 minutes. Sorry, dear friends, that at some moments I may was a little too emotional. Sorry about that. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please, dear friends, click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. And if you think this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram are informative, useful, interesting, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. During the day I will definitely try to make additional updates, short videos for main channels and also for Patreon. Let's see how I will deal with the blood pressure. But I will definitely try to stay active in the comment section. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day and take care.